Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 10th of January, now it's 15 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Later on this afternoon I will have a second update on both channels, on YouTube and Rumble, and this evening I will have a live stream on Rumble with the next episode of Telegram Reports, and also I will upload new video for Patreon page, so they're gonna be quite busy. And before I share with you some news, let me show you this video.
Hello everyone, glad to be back. As you can see, for this update, I'm making this video not in my improvised studio, but in a central part of Moscow on a Red Square. For last week, maybe even more, weather was extremely cold, so we didn't have the opportunity really to go for a walk in Moscow in central parts, and we will do it today. And of course, I will make video and I will show you. I will try to show you how nicely decorated Moscow for New Year's celebrations. And in the main update, I will only have like few minutes to show you central parts of Moscow. But of course, I will make longer video for our Patreon community, and I will upload entire video on my Patreon.
Yesterday we went to Moscow because weather was quite nice. Previous week or 10 days even it was freezing weather, like minus 20, 25, even 30. Not exactly the time to go for a walk, but yesterday weather was a little bit nicer, and well, I had to make video about New Year's decorations in the capital of Russia for the Patreon community, and longer video will be uploaded on Patreon today. But I wanted to share with you some short version of it. As you can see, streets are quite nicely decorated, and it's still New Year's vibe in Moscow, and all around Russia. All cities are decorated as quite nicely. Well, that's been said. Let's talk about news now. And well, first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media outlets, according to Russian military channels, there was no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. It's still operational pause, I will say. Russian armed forces actively exercising active defense strategy and demilitarizing Ukrainian units on current line of contact. Main hotspots are, of course, in Kherson direction, Krinky settlement still, where for whatever reason Kiev regime is still trying to maintain a small foothold. Also areas right next to destroyed Antonovsky and railway bridge in Leshki area. When it comes to Zaporozhye sector, main hotspot is Orekhov bridgehead. Areas in between Novoprokopovka and Rabotino, Russian forces are conducting offensive operations in direction of Rabotino, although this is local scale operations, nothing in the scale that can influence overall situation on this sector of the front line. And also Russian forces are conducting local scale offensives or increasing pressure basically on Ukrainian units on Verbova, Novoprokopovka areas also, and Ukrainian units in Malaya Takmachka, Novodanilovka are also quite frequently under heavy Russian fire. When it comes to, as I said, the initiative is in Russian hands, but nothing is happening in the scale that can influence this sector of the front in immediate future. In South Donetsk direction, main hotspot is still, of course, Novomikhailovka settlement, which is disputed now between the sides. According to some reports, eastern part of this settlement is in gray zone or under Russian control, and Ukrainian units still are maintaining their presence in the western part of this village. In Donetsk sector, of course, we have two major hotspots, Avdiivka being one of them, and flanks of Bakhmut also, of course. No reports about significant changes on line of contact in this direction. It's just Russian forces are increasing pressure on Ukrainian units on regular basis, and at some point in the future Ukrainian defense line is gonna crack. It's just inevitable, but when it will happen, that's a question for $1 million. When it comes to northern sectors from Seversk to Kupiansk, same story. Mainly it's artillery duels, local scale skirmishes, reckoning force operations. Nothing is happening at this point that can influence any of these sectors, Krasny Liman or Donetsk or Kupiansk sectors in immediate future. Yet again, this constant increasing pressure from Russian side will have its results, and at some point Ukrainian defense line is gonna crack. And then probably we will see large-scale Russian offensive operation or significant increase in of intensity of clashes on the line of contact. But at this point, I'm becoming more and more skeptical that we will see this large-scale Russian offensive operation during the winter time. Most likely there will be no winter Russian offensive. This is my personal reading of big picture. And I remind you, dear friends, that I'm no military expert and my understanding of the situation can be wrong. But, well, I see, as I said, no indicators that large-scale Russian offensive operation will take place this winter. Most likely because Ukrainian defense lines still are maintaining some strength, and large-scale offensive at this point will cause significant number of casualties and will decimate areas where these offensive operations will take place, infrastructure in these areas. So therefore, I believe Russian armed forces will continue to exercise this active defense strategy. And when Ukrainian defense lines will begin to collapse, then maybe we will see large-scale offensive operations. I receive questions from members of our community almost on daily basis. In which direction Russian winter offensive will take place? Is it Kupiansk or Kharkov direction, or Sumy and Chernigov, or maybe southern sectors? Well, at this point, as I said, my understanding is that there will be no Russian winter offensive at all. Russian side will increase pressure on daily basis, and there can be some local scale offensive operations on let's say sectoral scale, but when it comes to decisive actions, most likely we will not see decisive actions this winter. I think somewhere around May this year, late spring this year, maybe second wave of mobilization take place in Russia, and additional 300,000 to 500,000 reservists probably will be mobilized, and once these mobilized reservists will undergo some basic training, which will take at least 3 months, then probably we will have good enough indicators that Russian armed forces are preparing large-scale offensive operation for the winter. So maybe we will see Russian decisive offensive operations next winter, because at this point, I don't think Russian armed forces have enough military personnel on the line of contact or in the reserves, in reserve forces, to conduct truly large-scale offensive operations, because according to different reports, at this point Russia is operating in special military operation with about 500,000 to 800,000 military personnel, including, I mean, units that are on line of contact and in reserves. Well, if you take in account how wide front line is, I don't think 500,000 or 800,000 military personnel is enough to conduct large-scale offensive operations. Ukraine is one of the largest states in Europe, so it will take at least million or maybe 2 military personnel to conduct these decisive military actions. So therefore I'm becoming more and more skeptical, as I said, that we will see winter offensive this year. Next year maybe, although of course there is a possibility that by constant increase of pressure on Kiev regime, eventually Russian side will force some political turmoil in Ukraine to break out, and maybe Kiev regime will collapse from within as a result of some internal confrontation, and that can very quickly change the situation on the line of contact, also on the front line also. And if current regime, if current so-called government of Ukraine is removed from office, and militaries, for example, will establish control over the territory, militaries will of course understand straight away that they have no chance to achieve anything in this conflict with Russia, and they will probably begin looking for ways to conduct negotiations with Moscow. And in that case, well, this conflict may end even without decisive military actions from Russian armed forces. On Russian terms, this conflict will anyway end on Russian terms, but there is two ways. One is total military victory, and other is political and military victory. So both scenarios have a quite significant chance to become to be implemented on line of contact. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian air defense systems did shut down Ukrainian drone over the Saratov region. Yet another attempt from Kiev regime to strike deep inside the Russian territory. But Russian air defense systems were ready for such development. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that official representative of White House, John Kirby, and I guess US elites in general, US ruling elites in general, are not happy that maybe North Korea is supplying Russia with some weapon systems, and they are now complaining or planning to complain in the UN, according to John Kirby, and condemn actions of Russia and North Korea because of this possible military cooperation. Yet again, I don't think countries outside of collective West and their colonies care that much about what makes or not makes happy Biden and his administration or ruling class of the West, and most likely world is laughing at this point on very same John Kirby and ruling elites of the West, because they are condemning what they are doing themselves. So how should world perceive these statements from US? Washington is actively supplying weapons to Kiev regime, and same time condemns if Russia receives weapons from any other country. Really, I mean, at this point, this is not even laughable, man. I mean, you can't even laugh at these idiots, man, in White House no more. It's sad. It's truly sad. You cannot take those people seriously no more. RIA Novosti is reporting that President of Russian Federation first time visited Chukotka region of Russian Federation. Let me show you on the map. This is most far east region of Russia. That's it, by the way. This is Chukotka, which is bordering Alaska, dear friends. Many people maybe not realizing that Russia and US are neighbor countries, and Russia and US are bordering each other. Alaska state of US, which used to be part of Russia some 200 years ago, but that's a history. And now Russian president is in Chukotka. This region is gaining popularity among tourists, internal tourists, and I guess during his trip to Chukotka, one of the major topics of discussion definitely will be development of tourist infrastructure, because this region is like many other all other regions of Russian Federation are amazing, very beautiful. In Chukotka you can find active volcanoes, by the way, mountains, nice mountain valleys. Of course, you can see ocean itself. It's a very nice place. I would like to travel to Chukotka, to be honest, but it's so far from Moscow region, and I don't even know how much it will cost to have a tourist trip to Chukotka. Maybe sometime in the future. It's what I see from videos on YouTube and pictures. Amazing place. So let's see what will come out from this visit of Putin to this wonderful region of Russia. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that according to media, Greek media in this particular case, Blinken, during his visit in Greece, basically demanded from Greece Prime Minister to send weapons, additional package of weapons to Kiev regime. This was reported among other media outlets, also by Newsbreak, under headline of ultimatum from Blinken to Mitsotakis, Prime Minister of Greece. And well, Athens is run by puppets of Washington, basically, and Brussels. And I don't think Greece government at this point is in position to, say no to anything, any order from their Western masters. Therefore, most likely in upcoming days, we will see statements from Greece that they made decision to provide Kyiv regime with additional weapon systems. Most likely, it's gonna be air defense systems, Russian-built air defense systems. Greece is operating with S-300 systems, with some other Russian air defense systems, and probably Blinken was demanding those systems and missiles for them to be sent to Kyiv regime. Maybe some armored vehicles also. And according to media, by the way, according to media reports, Blinken demanded in several days' time Greece to announce its decision. That's a situation that Greece is at this point, that it's been dictated what to do, when, in what time. Sad to see it. Greece had a unique opportunity to become a bridge between East and West. Greece had the unique opportunity to be in good, friendly relationships with Russia, same time maintaining membership in NATO, EU, and increasing its political volume or political stand in European stage at least. But Athens chose other way. They destroy relationships with Russia, political leadership of Greece, by the way. Because on the level of societies, we are brothers. There is no hard feeling in Russia towards Greek people, and I'm quite sure Greek people are seeing Russians also as brothers. So we are talking about difficult relationships on political level. Well, unfortunately, it is what it is, man. Blinken, this idiot, uneducated, dirty animal, is in position to dictate this one of the oldest civilizations in the world, what to do, when, and in what time. That's sad, man. It's just unfair. It's sad, but it is what it is. TASS news agency is reporting that Israeli health ministry issued a warning to Israeli medical centers, hospitals, and so on, to get ready to receive thousands and thousands of casualties. And this warning was issued because of this increase in confrontation in the northern side of Israel between Israeli defense forces and Hezbollah. And I guess this warning has everything to do with the possible further increase in escalation between two sides, maybe even full-scale confrontation, which will be devastating for Lebanon and for Israel. And well, quite possibly, if Netanyahu's government will provoke this full-scale war with Hezbollah and Lebanon, then most likely US and some other NATO member states will also will get involved in this confrontation on side of Israel. And well, this region, Middle East, will become one step closer to the regional war. Let's continue. Rianost is reporting that President of Ecuador did declare internal military conflict and emergency situation. Probably many of you did see these videos, horrifying videos from Ecuador yesterday, when criminal gangs, armed criminal gangs, were targeting police stations, targeting TV stations, metro stations, kidnapping and executing people. Some madness is happening in Ecuador, and 22 criminal groups or 20 criminal gangs of Ecuador have been declared the main target of security services of Ecuador. Army is bringing in heavy military equipment into capital and other cities. So basically, civil war has erupted in Ecuador between government forces and criminal gangs, and this is quite an issue of entire Latin America, unfortunately, that these criminal groups are so powerful that they can even conduct military-grade operations against government officials, state institutions, which is pure madness. But yet again, to tackle this issue of violence, issue of criminal, government should spend more money on education. More money should be spent on infrastructure, on development. It's complex issue. People should have better alternatives in the life, so that they would not even think to join these criminal gangs. But unfortunately, in many Latin American countries, becoming a gang member is almost the only way to earn some money for living. And this is an issue in many countries, not just in Ecuador, but almost in all South American countries, which is sad. With exceptions, of course, with exceptions. Although I will say that crime is a big issue in Latin America in general. RIA Novosti is reporting, well, I guess if Ecuadorian government will struggle with this criminal gangs, then neighbor countries will probably get involved. Maybe even US will send its special forces or drones and drone operators to get involved in this war against criminal cartels. So situation is very tense there. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that John Kirby, official representative of White House, once again confirmed that Biden did not lose confidence in Lloyd Austin, formerly head of Pentagon, Defense Secretary of US. Well, statement itself is not surprising. Biden probably, even if he was told that Austin was in leave for several days and White House not informed about it, even if someone told Biden, probably he didn't remember about it. So how he gonna condemn anything if he don't know? But when it comes to Lloyd Austin itself, well, this individual have to be fired, man. It's just as simple as that. He has to be fired. I know some military channels are speculating that maybe Lloyd Austin was wounded in Ukraine during his recent possible visit, secret visit, and one of the Russian missiles take his entourage out and he was wounded. Different rumors are circulating in internet, but I find it difficult to believe that even if Russian side has intelligence that US Defense Secretary was in some places in Ukraine, I don't think Moscow will authorize strike. In that case, this is not the way that Moscow is operating, really. High-ranking officials, even Ukrainian high-ranking officials, are basically free to move around Ukraine without being targeted. So why would Russia ever authorize strikes against high-ranking officials of other countries, especially US? So I find it difficult to believe in those rumors that Lloyd Austin was wounded in Ukraine. And he has some medical issues, and well, doctors will deal with this situation, but what happened was, of course, totally unacceptable to any country. I guess when defense secretary is not, leaving his duty without noticing, informing president, administration of president, or even his own deputies. This is totally unacceptable. But if Biden did not lost confidence yet in Austin, that's quite understandable, man. Who the hell is Biden? I mean, really, who this clown, man? Just old mass murderer who cannot remember his own name, man. Who cares about what Biden says or does? I mean, come on. We all know that real decision makers are very different people in US, and probably we will never even know real names of those decision makers. And Lloyd Austin, as I said many times before, is a representative of US military industrial complex and basically untouchable until his bosses in military industrial complex will make decision to replace him. He is just simply untouchable in the US. RT is reporting that Russian tycoon predicts oil price crash. Quite interesting. Global oil markets are heading for a crash that will slash 20% of the crude price this year. Russian businessman Oleg Deripaska predicted on Tuesday. The tycoon warning comes after oil prices fell about 4% on Monday on sharp price cuts announced by the top exporter Saudi Arabia for exports in February. Oil has since rebounded, with the WTI benchmark trading at $72 per barrel and Brent at $77.4 US dollars for a barrel as of 2 o'clock GMT. On Tuesday, cheap oil, which will fail by another 20% on the global market this year, will be a good help in fighting inflation, Deripaska wrote on his Telegram channel on Tuesday. Well, maybe Deripaska is correct, or maybe he's mistaken. At this point, while world economies continues to grow, world GDP, I don't really see any reasons price to fail as significantly as 20%. Although anything is possible, and if price will fail like 15-20%, it will at least have some positive influence also on the world economy, because inflations will at least, if not fail, then will not increase. So that's a good stuff. And I don't think 20% fail in price of oil, current prices of oil, will significantly influence major oil exporter countries also. So it's gonna be win-win situation anyway for oil exporter countries and the world economy. Although, of course, obviously, oil exporter countries have interest in higher prices, but yet again, it's sword with double edges, because if oil prices are too high, then it may cause high inflation and eventually drop in demand for oil. So that's why OPEC Plus organization is very important to maintain this balance between the prices and demand, between demand and production, or levels of production of oil. RIA Novosti is reporting that former factory of a Hyundai, South Korean automaker in StPetersburg, began its work again. Well, after Western sanctions, Hyundai was forced basically to sell his assets in Russia. This particular factory, for example, for symbolic 10,000 rubles, with the right to rebuy, to buy back this factory for very same amount in 2 years' time. But as this information highlights this factory began manufacturing some cars without Hyundai, and well, I don't think this company will be able to enter Russian market in 2 years' time. So most likely they lost these assets in Russia forever. And when eventually, sometime in the future, in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years' time, relationships between Russia, collective West, and colonies of the West, like South Korea, is begun to somewhat, regain normalcy. Of course, South Korean companies gonna find it extremely difficult to re-establish themselves on Russian market, like companies from any other unfriendly nation to Russia. They lost this market, and majority of them for forever, most likely. RIA Novosti is reporting that World Bank increased its estimates of Russian GDP growth in 2024, and new estimate is that this year, according to World Bank, Russian economy will grow 1.3%. Not bad if you take in account pressure that was imposed on Russian economy by Western ruling class. I remind you, dear friends, that Western media is still pushing this narrative that Russian economy is collapsing or already collapsed. And Western media, of course, will most likely never share with public real information about situation in Russia. And for example, World Bank is run by Western ruling elites, isn't it? World Bank in no way can be taken as a pro-Russian organization, isn't it? But even this tool in hands of Western ruling class is predicting that Russian economy this year in 2024 will grow at least 1.3%. I did see some other estimates that Russian economy will grow 1.6%, some say even 2%, but the fact that Russian economy is growing, not in a recession, but growing little by little, is already something special. If you take in account exactly this thousands and thousands of sanctions that was imposed on Russia in attempt to destroy Russian economy. Let's continue, and this news is gonna be last news for today's first update. RIA Novosti is reporting that NASA is prolonging its lunar missions because Artemida project had some issues, and lunar probe that was launched a few days ago, because that lunar probe experienced some difficulties, some fuel leak and some other issues, it will probably not be able to land softly on the moon. Most likely it will crash if ever will reach moon, and therefore NASA made decision to prolong Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 missions to make sure that these missions are safe and secure, because eventually these missions have to become manned missions. So it's quite understandable that NASA is worried that there are some technical issues that have to be dealt with, otherwise manned mission cannot take place, obviously. So, well, unfortunate news for science community and people that pays attention to space explorations, but safety has to be first, of course. So Artemida NASA lunar program is prolonged, not for a long though, just for a couple of years. And that technical issues probably will be dealt quite effectively. And this is it for now. I hope you will find this update interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you find interesting, and share video with your friends. And if you think this project, this channel with This project with several channels are informative, interesting, useful and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary. Please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links on this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.